afternoon, historians, and a happy Thanksgiving to you. I'm standing here at Fort Pulaski in southeast Georgia. Originally built as part of the third system of coastal defense following the War of 1812, Pulaski is one of 42 such fortifications designed to protect the American coast against attack and blockades. It would be utilized in the same fashion once fighting began less than half a century later and become a focal target once Savannah was established as one of the major port cities for the Confederacy. According to Mark Smith, author of The End of an Era, The Fall of Fort Pulaski and the End of Third System Defense Policy, where he looks very intently at the Third System Defense Policy, as early as April 1862, when Union forces using rifled artillery reduced Fort Pulaski in only 2 days, the utility of Third System forts was called into question. This was the first time rifled artillery was utilized in battle, and it was exceedingly effective, as you can tell behind me. With the normal standardized cannons, they could not get a grouping of shots like we see right here behind me. Could not get that kind of grouping. And this was also from about 5 miles away on Tybee Island. It was Fort Pulaski that protected Savannah from Union blockades. Once it was seized in 1862, the next phase in the Anaconda Plan could take effect by restricting incoming European support to the Confederacy. And in my next segment, that's what I'm going to talk to you about. Thank you. The next phase saw Grant take Vicksburg, securing control of the Mississippi, and in effect, cutting the Confederacy in half. He would then head east toward Chattanooga before sending his friend and right-hand man William Tecumseh Sherman on to take Atlanta and capturing the aforementioned key port city of Savannah later on, which would effectively subdivide the Confederacy again. It was this division that would signal the death knell for the Confederacy, and less than 3 months later elicit the surrender of General Lee at Appomattox. This aptly named March to the Sea gained Sherman as much notoriety in the North as it did derision in the South. As Matt Carr described it in his General Sherman's March to the Sea, on taking Atlanta, Sherman proceeded to reduce the city to an uninhabitable wreck. He would then make his 300-mile long and 50-mile wide path of destruction to Savannah. After seeing what he did to Atlanta, the destruction that he caused, and on the way to Savannah, more destruction, one can hardly understand why he would spare Savannah at all. For one, he knew that he would have to camp here in Savannah indefinitely until he was summoned forth by Grant to make his way on to Columbia before meeting his friend in Virginia at the conclusion of the war. It was here at the Green Meldrum House in Savannah where Sherman would reside. It was also here in this house where Sherman would receive the correspondence from Grant telling him to pack up and move on. It was the engagement at Monteith Swamp and Shaw's Bridge on December 10th through 12th, 1864, that ultimately led to the surrender of General Hardee at Savannah. Barry Shee writes as much as he details these often overlooked battles in forgotten battles, engagements at Monteith Swamp and Shaw's Bridge during the Savannah Campaign in 1864. It was only a few days later before Sherman marched his entire force into Savannah, and he took up residence here. If ever you get the chance to visit Savannah, please do so. It is historically rich, especially with regards to the Civil War. Thank you.